All right, it's Monday, April 29th. This is an end of the day SPY recap, first day of the week. And today we end up with a 2-up, kind of a neutral looking bar here. You could see it kind of opened and closed right around the same price. It gapped up a little bit, didn't really follow through strongly the upside, probed the downside a little bit, but didn't follow through. And now at least it kind of sets some interesting reference points as the week moves forward. So coming into the week, this is the weekly chart. We had the inside green bar. You're kind of expecting that high to be taken out. And you want to see on this inside bar, if we get to these targets up here, or if it possibly, starts above last week's high, fails to reach that target and comes back through the midpoint of this bar, which could signal an outside bar to the downside. So that's really what we're monitoring. You're expecting it to test a little higher given the green bar. So obviously right out of the gates, we did open up above that high. So it did its job of testing. But since we didn't follow through strongly, the jury's still out as to what's going to unfold for the week, but we do have good reference points now. First of all, we have the open of the week, which is kind of right where it closed, right up here. So tomorrow, if we head lower, we will see out of the gates if we could get a 2-down day, which would mean a lower low. That to me is going to be really the sign that we might be failing on the week, a 2-down signal. Other than that, you're kind of expecting, since it probed down there a few times, for it to possibly hold and start higher. But we're going to see now, if we can get above this open and stay above there for the rest of the week on this daily chart. So keep that in mind as the reference point. Again, the whole thing here is, are we going to move up day after day over the days of the 5 days of the week, whatever it is, to get to this target and really start higher, or is this going to be a failure to move lower? And what's interesting is on the monthly chart, with 1 day to go in the month, you can almost sense that we're ending with a red bar that has a pretty big buying tail, and that means kind of a lot of support down here at the midpoint of that tail. So coming into next month, let's assume it ends looking like this tomorrow, month of April, we go into May with this kind of looking bar. You'd have to ask yourself, do you really think that red bar is going to follow through to the bottom of that range, or is it going to kind of hold in here and eventually maybe be above the open price on June and stay green and start higher? So we'll be able to reference that starting on Wednesday. But to me, it looks like almost like a pause bar overall in an overall uptrend. So we're going to kind of keep the open of the next month in mind as to whether it stays green or goes red and tries to break down a little bit, knowing this area is support. So anyway, looking at the 15-minute chart today, what you had was that right out of the gates, this big red bar, but then you had the inside bar on bar 2. So, it broke up above there. This really isn't a red to green kind of move, since it kind of failed at the pre-market highs up here. And you kind of watched it. Was it going to break above that high? No. Then it comes down, and all of a sudden you kind of know you're just in for this choppy day. It's not even going anywhere outside this first bar range in any way, shape, or form to give an uptrend above it or to really break down below it. We tested for a second here, that popped up. So this whole day was just nothing, overall, with a kind of an upward bias. I discussed, once it came down here, I bought some puts because I had a sense it would take out the intraday low, and then there was a pre-market low here from after hours the other day, or overnight or something like that. Anyway, it did come down and take that out. I discussed how that was a key inflection point, and it kind of paused there, and then boom, it shoots up very strong in the last 45 minutes. Never followed through, and that's not surprising at all, given that we kind of came down, couldn't get really through the halfway point of the prior day. When we hit this lower blue line, that was an area to see, are we going to hold there and close red on the day? At the time, that bar looked pretty red, but obviously it came all the way up at the end. So that to me means there's pretty good buying support down there, and I'm expecting higher into tomorrow. And again, I'm just going to watch if this bar day by day can reach this target. But if it fails, then I'll consider getting short. But tomorrow, you really got to get a 2 down to feel comfortable with that. Other than that, stay buys to the upside. So in terms of today, knowing that it was just a choppy opening final point here with an upward bias a little bit, I kind of was looking at individual stocks. And as it turned out, I discussed how I bought Apple here at this blue line. This was more on the 5-minute chart before the 15-minute chart closed, because I had some strong indications on this gap up that there were targets above. As it turns out, Apple didn't really do much. If you would have bought it here based on the 15-minute chart, you would have had to take a small loss. Me buying it here, and then I scaled out up here, it put my break even stop to here, and I broke even on this trade overall because it never really followed through above bar one. Even though I was expecting it to. So that was that trade. And then NVIDIA, I bought a red to green move here, this is a classic red to green move where it comes down to the halfway point of the prior day, makes kind of a lower low, big green bar. And now I scaled out here, and this gave you kind of one push up, pause, second push up. However wanted to play it, it was profitable from that blue line. And then there was a nice red to green move on Tesla that I bought at this blue line, and that gave me a very nice trade. So overall, bias to the upside. I looked for a few stocks that seem to have good price action. This was a good winner. This is you wouldn't get hurt, small gain. And then Apple, in the way I played it, the aggressive way, ended up being more of a break-even trade. And once it couldn't get by the first bar high, that was kind of a bad sign for this stock for the rest of the day compared to the other stocks. So we will see where the SPY goes tomorrow. I like that the big move up here towards the end of the day, but we still have to really get that continuation now and kind of start reaching for those targets. So we're going to have to see how the rest of the week goes on that. And again, we could have a failure on this inside bar, but we're going to have to get below the halfway point of that bar on any kind of a 2 down day to really confirm that. Other than that, I'm still expecting higher until proven otherwise.